Welcome to a very sunny Oulton Park for the fourth meeting of the Radical Challenge, and race number 1 coming up for you here today. In terms of the solo challenge then coming to the meeting here at Oulton Park, Dominic Jackson, the man who leads the way on 497 points, just 13 ahead of Steve Burgess, and Jerome de Sadalier sits there in third place. In terms of the team challenge, it's Peter Tyler and Tom Gladys that lead the way, 221 points, second for John Caldwell and Stuart Mosley.
Hard work in the car today. I think we're about 26 degrees.
Hot day. Towards the end of the race, you get start to feel pretty tired.
Racing in this heat is very tough. I mean, I don't think we've ever raced anything this hot before, and especially around a circuit like Oulton, such a physical circuit, you really feel it.
Wonderful circuit. It's one of the UK's old circuits, so it's quite tight in places. It can be a little hairy, but it's got lots of ups and downs, lots of big braking zones, lots of fast corners, so one of my favourites actually.
Oh, it's a fantastic circuit. It rewards the brave, so some of the corners, there's not much runoff, but just keep it level pegged and away you go.
This is a really competitive field now, all the way up and down, which is great, and it's fantastic racing. I've got a lot of work to do to get further up the grid, I think, but it's great fun racing.
So the first race here at Oulton Park, the grid for this one sees Steve Burgess for Royal Motorsport on pole position. Dominic Jackson, after his triple win at Spa, sits second on the grid. Jerome de Sadalier and Mark Richards make up row 2, with Elliot Goodman and Brian Murphy back there on row 3. Further down, Marcello Maricciotto, one to watch out for, not the best of qualifiers at all, down in 12th. Barry Liversidge is there in 15th place, and other ones to watch as well. The American Jim Booth and Ollie Maricciotto rounds out the grid in 20th place. So, rolling start then for race number 1. 3 races today here at Oulton Park, and we're going to get this one underway very shortly. 40 minutes of racing to look forward to. All the drivers making their way through the oil slick, which has been laid down from a previous race, and there's the green car of Marcello Maricciotto, one to watch out for, as we said. But here we go then, the lights very shortly to turn out as they head over the crest and up towards the line for this first race. It's the left-hand side for Steve Burgess as the race gets underway, and a cracking start from Dominic Jackson, who's going to try and take Steve Burgess on the outside in towards Old Hall Corner for the first time. He's going to get the job done possibly though. He doesn't run wide, he keeps the car on the track as they head down the avenue for the first time, still side by side. In towards the left-hander are about to go, and Dominic Jackson will have the inside line as they head on towards Lakeside Straight for the first time. That was a cracking start from Dominic Jackson, and there you can see he's got into the lead of the race. Working their way through then, the left-hander of Island Bend for the first time. Many different liveries to watch out for within this one, some brightly coloured ones, some darker ones. It's Dominic Jackson in that black car that leads ahead of Steve Burgess. Third place then coming through there was Jerome de Sadalier in car number 5, and the rest of the pack making their way through as they head up towards the first of the chicanes here at Oulton Park, the long circuit we are on, the international circuit, and it's over the hilltop for the first time. For Dominic Jackson, already, look at that, starting to stretch his lead over the championship leader, who was previous before Spa, but it's now Dominic Jackson, of course, after his 3 wins at Spa, that leads the championship coming to this round at Oulton Park. So lots of work for the rest of the pack to do to try and catch up. There's number 10, watching out for there, John Caldwell, long-time runner within the Radical Challenge Championship, and as we said, loads of other people to keep an eye on further down the field who didn't have the best of qualifying, but and off in the background there goes number 14 by the looks of it. That were the colours of John McLeod, the blue and white car. John will rejoin the circuit, but he will be now, by the looks of it, plumb last in the race. So after all his hard work in qualifying to qualify fairly well, he's now going to throw that away all at the first lap over there at Druid's Corner, but see if he can charge his way back through the field. Don't forget there's pit stops to work into this race as well, which could change how it all comes to a close, because there are success seconds to factor in after the previous round at Spa, and we'll talk about those as and when the pit stops come about, but it's going to favour others rather than those that had the better results at Spa. So we'll see how that all plays out. They're going through is the number 52 car by the looks of it, which is Mark Richards, returning his way to the championship here today at Oulton Park, and he'll be one to watch out for because he hasn't raced for a couple of rounds now, so we'll see how he gets on in the latter stages of this race. Through Britain's they go once again then. Still the leader of this one is Dominic Jackson. He heads Steve Burgess, and Jerome de Sadalier sits there very comfortably in third position. And in fact, Jerome de Sadalier right now onto the tail of Steve Burgess, just going through the picture there. So very, very close for second, third, fourth and fifth by the looks of it. There's Brian Cordwell in his red number 66 working his way through the exit of Hizzy Chicane through Knickerbrook, and now up Clay Hill they go. And the man on the tail there of them was Marcello Marattiotto, who's made a few places since the start, so he's now starting to carve his way through the field. And could he possibly have a lunge at Brian Cordwell coming down in towards the right-hander? He thinks about it, sits in the middle of the road, but then unfortunately just runs a little bit out of track there and kicks up the dust in good order. But he hasn't lost a place to the car behind. He now works his way on to another lap, and that car that sits behind him, in fact, is Mark Crader at car number 20. Mark is doing fairly well. Midfield at the minute for him. Another move trying to be made there by the number 10 car of John Cordwell. He was trying to get past the number 6 of Barry Liversidge, but again, no way through, as these radicals are very quick, so they are flat out at the majority of this Oulton Park circuit. No let up at all, only through the chicanes really, through Britain's and down towards Knickerbrook. That's where they let off the power, but everywhere else it is pretty much flat out, as we said. But this is the battle we look at for now. Number 8 is the car on screen, black and purple of Spencer Bourne, and he's being chased there by the next to those red cars. Sits in the line, powers its way through the Shell Oil's hairpin. Barry Liversidge getting closer and closer on the brakes then through Britain's. Heading over Hilltop once again. They are two of the cars on their own. Can't make any inroads into the Peter Tyler, Tom Gladys team car, which is just starting to pull away now. As they turn their way through then on towards the right-hander of Knickerbrook. Gap out in front is still starting to grow, by the way. It's Dominic Jackson that leads Steve Burgess by a few seconds now. It was a blinding start, as we said, and it's just continued to pull away as it's headed through. There's Elliot Goodman, number 28, being chased here by Christian Jeffrey. Christian has had a few podiums this year, but still searching for that first win of 2018. Could it possibly come here today at Oulton Park? Who knows? He's been very, very quick, but at the minute just languishes behind Elliot Goodman and struggles to find his way through. Then on the tail of both of them is number 66, which is Brian Cordwell, who kicks up the dust and a little bit more as well on the exit of the corner. And here at Oulton Park, with it being an MSV circuit, there are little sensors on those curves as well, which just picks up when you run wide. And of course, if you do too many of those, it could mean you incur a penalty later on in the race. There going through is the youngster, Ollie Marattiotto, son of Marcello, making his debut within the Radical Challenge this year, and he's chasing a fellow number red car there, number 63, which is Jim Booth. Just to mention about Jim, he is a Radical European Masters champion. He comes from the USA. He's making his first ever debut here in the UK. So good luck to Jim down there, as we said, fighting with Ollie Marattiotto, but we'll see if he can make up any progress and places later on within this race. Of course, the longer of the races this weekend are race 1 and race 3. Race 2 will be the shorter one of 20 minutes. So a lot of racing to squeeze into the one day here at Oulton Park. Down towards the final corner come the top 5 once again, still focusing on this battle between Elliot Goodman, Christian Jeffrey, and also number 66, which is Brian Cordwell. The best battle in the race so far as they head their way over the hill once more on towards the completion of yet another lap. Elliot Goodman's results this year haven't been too bad. He's been a very consistent peddler, has Elliot. 6th within the championship and yet to pick up a podium. Again, just like Christian Jeffrey, could he find himself a little further towards the front? With a long way to go, as we said, with the pit stops to play out, the success seconds to factor in as well. And a replay there of all two of the red cars coming together. They being Ollie Marattiotto, who just loses it over the grass. He then holds up Jim Booth in the process. And luckily for both of them, they will rejoin. And Ollie just getting through there without taking out the marker post on the exit of Hizzy Chicane. Christian Jeffrey still sitting there, just behind Elliot Goodman, being caught further by Brian Cordwell. And Marcello Marattiotto now looking very, very poised to make a move before too much longer. As we mentioned before the race got underway, he didn't have the best of qualifyings, but race is a different matter, and Marcello always seems to go much better within the races. So let's see if he can now start to make progress. Just loses a little bit of ground up the Clay Hill here to Brian Cordwell, and those two as well further up the road, but Marcello seems to go better towards the end of the lap here. So let's see if he can do anything down towards the right-hander at Lodge, which is just about to come into shot now. Again there, Brian Cordwell trying to poke his nose out on Christian Jeffrey, but it looks like he's got that one covered. And Elliot Goodman doing a tremendous job at the minute. We've already got a few minutes into this race, and Elliot has not let up whatsoever to have any of those three cars going through, although Christian Jeffrey thinks about it again down towards the first corner at Old Hall. Now they'll slip the way down the avenue, big drop off there of the track, and then they'll sweep their way through the left-hander in towards Cascades and onto the very fast Lakeside straight they go once again, and you can see why it is called Lakeside, because they go past the lake on the left-hand side. Down through Island Bend once more. Goodman, the one we're watching here, number 28, followed by Christian Jeffrey, the white, green and yellow machine. Then behind them, the red car of number 66, Brian Cordwell, and then the green colours of Marcello Marattiotto. Again, just losing ground on this first half of the lap as they lick left, right and left through Britain Chicane. Up over Hilltop once more. They're just dropping ground now to the cars ahead, which are Brian Murphy in car number 57. And Jerome de Sadalier is the man up the road from them as well. So they are the ones who are just gradually and now starting to pull away. And that's all being helped by these four cars, possibly five to be fair, that are battling amongst themselves. So this is why the gap is starting to grow. Marcello again very, very close to the back of Brian Cordwell as they made their way up the hill through Druids. Oh, and more drama there from number 14, John McLeod. He's been for a further rotation. Was he helped? Did he jump of his own accord? Whichever, he is going to rejoin once again, but I think just like lap number one, he'll be right towards the tail of the field there, so bad luck for John McLeod. Let's see if he can be helped by the pit stops very, very shortly, which of course open after 18 minutes of racing. They'll last for just 8 minutes, a very short time to get those pit stops done. There is Marcello now being caught by Mark Frader, the number 20 machine, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Meantime, another three-way fight coming down towards Old Hall Corner. That's Spencer Bourne. We've got number 10 in there as well, which is the car of John Cordwell, and muscled in amongst them, Barry Liversidge, as they head down the avenue and in towards Cascades. There goes Jerome de Sadalier through Pitcher. This is the fight between then Mark Richards and the chasing Brian Murphy at the minute, and still the fight going on between Elliot Goodman, Christian Jeffrey, and also in there Brian Cordwell. And it just seems that Marcello Marattiotto now has dropped off the tail of these three cars, because he's got further trouble behind in terms of Mark Crader. Mark doing a grand job of catching up and now putting much more pressure on the back of Marcello Marattiotto. So Mark's going to be one to watch out for. Again, for him, he has missed one round this year. He missed the Brands Hatch Grand Prix meeting back in May, and Mark yet to have a podium this year as well. As Christian Jeffrey looks for a move on Elliot Goodman, he gets to the inside line there. Is there going to be contact between the two? No, but they rub very, very close there as they come through Lodge Corner. I think Christian Jeffrey has just made that move done then as they come across the line to complete another lap, and Christian Jeffrey does go through, but that has been a long time coming. Elliot Goodman, as we said, has done a tremendous job of keeping everyone at bay, but now is that cookie cracked? Have to wait and see, because Christian Jeffrey has gone through. Elliot Goodman, where credit's due, he's trying to fight back down towards Cascades, but no way through, I'm afraid to say. We'll now have to keep an eye on Brian Cordwell to see if he can get through as well. Meantime, Spencer Bourne still under pressure here from Barry Liversidge as they make their way through Old Hall Corner. Very nicely turned in there from both of those. No running wide, which is what the clerks of the course want to see. Over Hilltop once more then comes the number 52 machine, Mark Richards, who has pulled away from 57 there. Brian Murphy, the red and yellow car. There's Christian Jeffrey, the man who's moved up one place on this lap, and Elliot Goodman already losing a few car lengths to the man who just passed him. As making a mistake there was Brian Cordwell, run far too deep into the corner, which now allows possibly Marcello Marattiotto to get through, which he does. He sticks the nose down the inside line, which just allows Brian Cordwell to run wide, and it could also let through here the number 20 machine of Mark Crader, who's going to give it a good go as they head up Hilltop. We'll see if that move has been made. They come back into sight through Druids. No, it hasn't, because Mark Crader still behind Brian Cordwell. Marcello Marattiotto has made the pass through though. The fruit and veg man from Italy, and that's what pictures on the car. And into the pit lane there comes Dominic Jackson. This is for his stop of the race. So the pit stop window is now open. Dominic Jackson will have to serve an extra 25 seconds. Yes, 25 seconds in the pits. Whereas Steve Burgess, who is sitting there in second, has no seconds to serve within the pit stop. This is all due to the results we had at Spa last time out. Because Dominic Jackson had a win in the final race, it does mean he has those seconds to add on. He, in fact, he had 3 wins at Spa, his first of the season. So he went and did the hat-trick there. Can that form continue here at Oulton Park today? Wait and find out. It's going to be a hard struggle, though. As we said, 25 seconds added on, whereas Steve Burgess only had 0. Yes, 0. And he was only about 10 seconds back from when the pit stop window opened. So it's going to possibly fall in the favour of Steve. We'll have to wait and see how that unfolds once he's taken his stop. Meantime, across the grass, there goes Dominic Jackson, and that's just after the pit stop. So Dominic Jackson has thrown possibly a race win away. He's gone off straight after the pits. He's going to rejoin, but he bumbles his way across the grass to rejoin the track. But that is not good news at all for Dominic Jackson. He was leading the championship coming here to Oulton Park by just 13 points. But this could be disaster for the number 4 machine. Further pit stops taking place there for Mark Richards, returning to Radical Racing after just the 1 round this year at Donington Park. There's number 63 rejoining the American Jim Booth, Radical European Masters champion from last year. There's Marcello Malattiotto, and also number 31 Rod Goodman is into the pits as well. Some great shots from the pit lane. You see the detail on all of the cars there. And John McLeod was the other one that we just saw into the pits as well. There's Dominic Jackson then, back on his way, starting to stick in the quick laps once again, but will he rejoin ahead of this man, number 2? It's second within the championship, has had 5 wins this year. Can he make it his 6th here at Oulton Park? Steve Burgess very shortly to rejoin. The time has ticked away, and so he heads back onto the track to rejoin the race. But will it be in the lead? Will it be still in second place? We wait to see as he exits the pit lane, goes across that line and powers the Radical back up into full motion. We'll have to wait and see where Dominic Jackson comes through. Don't think he's gone through as of yet. Wait till the timing screen has ticked over for everyone to complete their stop. There's Jerome de Sadelier completing his pit stop and rejoining behind, by the looks of it, number 66 Brian Caldwell. That was a fantastic stop for him. Jerome de Sadelier had to serve some success seconds as well after his good result at Spa last time out, and that was an extra 20 seconds on his pit stop for Jerome, so that's going to hurt him as well. Meantime, this is the fight between John Caldwell and still Barry Liversidge. They can't shake each other off here at the minute. They've remained together, and as they head over Deer Leap and in towards another lap, they continue on their way, and they're being joined now by the looks of it by the number 64 machine there, which is Mark Hignett. So Mark Hignett has made his way onto the tail of those 2 cars as they drop over the hill once more, down through the avenue and on towards Cascades. This is the fight we have going on between, first off, Brian Murphy. He's trying to chase down the 2nd place man now by the looks of it, which is Mark Richards. So Mark has progressed through the pit stops to 2nd place. Brian Murphy now sits in 3rd. They're just coming up to lap the car of Ollie Marattiotto, whereas this man has jumped out in the lead of the race. So after all those pit stops, we thought it would be a better favour for Steve Burgess, and that's what the case has been. Meantime, Jerome de Sadelier trying to make up a few places as well. He had those seconds to serve within the pit stop, and he goes past the inside line of Brian Caldwell. So that's 1 ticked off, but can Jerome de Sadelier make it to the podium? Looking at the time we have left within the race and the seconds he is behind Brian Murphy. He may get it done, but time is just edging away quicker and quicker here, and the pace is not quite quick enough from Jerome de Sadelier to close in on Brian Murphy. So we'll have to wait and see. Dominic Jackson languishing outside the top 10, just about to join the back of Marcello Malattiotto. So this is a big ask for Dominic Jackson to try and squeeze himself back inside the top 10 after a slow pit stop due to the win at Spa and also the mistake down at Cascades. This is really putting him a bad place after what was a really positive Spa and the 3 race wins he picked up there. But put that behind him, get a solid result, and look forward to race number 2 and 3, which are on the way here at Oulton Park later today. Here's a replay of, is this a mistake? Yes, just running wide again. Brian Caldwell, I think that's the 2nd time he's done that within the race. We can just about see him rejoin through the dust haze and carries on his way behind the car he was battling with before he made that slight mistake. Here's Christian Jeffrey now, trying to make a move through. Oh, and Brian Caldwell's made another mistake, so that's 2 within the space of 1 lap. So he loses 2 places to Marcello Malattiotto, you can see there, and Dominic Jackson just heading their way over Clay Hill, under the bridge. And here is a possible move, in fact a lap being put on Jim Booth there. 57 goes through, which is Brian Murphy. the man who sits on the podium at the minute. But look how close Jerome de Sadelier is. Car number 5 is only a few seconds back. It's the white and black car in the background. The other one we can look at there is the number 28 machine of Elliot Goodman. He is in that position of 4th place as Dominic Jackson, early race leader, goes for a move on Marcello Maratioso and gets the job done for now. On he runs wide, he kicks up the dust as well, and that was a little bit too hot-headed into the corner from Dominic Jackson, trying to put all these wrongs to rights, but at the minute he's just making too many mistakes where he needs to be making good progress through the field. So Jackson still sits behind Maratioso. I wouldn't put it past Jackson to get through here. Both of these are very quick, but Dominic had the pace in qualifying. All depends on his tyres and how ready he is to make the move on Marcello Maratioso. Meantime, this is another great fight, which is now close together. In fact, this is the one we just mentioned between Elliot Goodman, Jerome de Sadelier, and now Christian Jeffrey has joined the party. So a three-way fight for what's going to be 4th position. Because just up the road from there is Brian Murphy, who's set in his sights on a first podium of the year, this could be, but is being caught quite dramatically here by these 3 cars. The only saving grace for Brian Murphy is that these 3 cars are battling, and it could hold them up in the latter stages of the race. Through Dilly they go once again then. Across the line come those 3 cars. Goodman, then de Sadelier. He was the SR1 champion from last season, and then right on that tail, Christian Jeffrey searching for his first win of this year, but at the minute he's got a long way to go to get towards the head of the field. Steve Burgess leads this race by a very comfortable 15 seconds at the minute, and that is growing lap by lap. So Steve Burgess looking very, very comfortable. Didn't seem the case at the end of the first lap. And Marcello Maratioso loses the back end going in towards Lodge Corner, and he will rejoin with a quick power up. No one coming the other way, so he rejoins the track, but again, a place or 2 lost. Almost thinks about going to the pit lane there, which probably wouldn't be a bad call because he's had a pretty torrid race, to be fair. And again, finds himself now outside the top 10. That does secure, though, Dominic Jackson a few more points within the race and helps us out. Down through Hizzies we go once again then with this battle between the likes of Elliot Goodman, Jerome de Sadelier, Christian Jeffrey, keeping it very tidy once again. No one running wide, which is the thing you want to do. This stage of the race, any small mistake, especially when you're running this close together, can just lose you a few seconds, and even the places as well, because there goes de Sadelier to the inside line. He found a very, very small gap. Lucky not to run wide there as well, because when you go on the inside line, it's normally very dirty. And Christian Jeffrey's going to come through as well, side by side across the line. Very opportunist there from Christian Jeffrey to get through. And Elliot Goodman, after the early defence where he kept everyone at bay. Nearly a mistake there from Christian. There is, he runs wide. I was just going to say, Elliot Goodman had a great first half of this race where he kept everyone at bay. Then he made the small mistake there of letting 2 cars through, but then Christian Jeffrey made a mistake at the first corner, and Elliot Goodman gets one of those back. So dramatic stuff there towards the end of this one. And talking about the end of the race, we are now onto the last lap. So Steve Burgess coming through the final few corners down towards the Hislop chicane and Knickerbrook for the last time. This has been a faultless drive once again from Steve Burgess. He has driven to the best of his abilities, and I think he was probably helped slightly by the pit stop from Dominic Jackson and then the mistake, but nonetheless he's been there all the time, and Steve Burgess is now set for what's going to be his 6th victory of 2018. It's been a great year so far. Can he keep it going? We're going to find out as he comes through to win race number 1 here at Oulton Park in the Radical Challenge Championship. He's delighted with that. He's Steve Burgess, a fist in the air to say, yeah, I've done well there, and he's going to win, as I said, by over what's going to look like 15 seconds. Down the road, we're going to see the fight for second very shortly, because coming through, we'll get those across the line. Meantime, we'll have this fight in towards the final corner, just outside the top 5, or in fact 5th and 6th by the looks of it. Elliot Goodman and Christian Jeffrey. Can Jeffrey get through towards the line? Doesn't look like it, because coming through in second, first podium this year for Mark Richards, third, a first podium as well for Brian Murphy, and then this fight for 5th place just behind Jerome de Sadelier. That was a cracking fight from start to finish, but the win goes the way of Steve Burgess. Second place for Mark Richards and third place for Brian Murphy, with Jerome de Sadelier in 4th. Elliot Goodman holding off Christian Jeffrey to the line with Mark Crader. Dominic Jackson there in 8th position. Not bad, to be fair, after those mistakes. He'll get some solid points. And then the winners of the team championship, Peter Tyler and Tom Gladys in 11th.
Into the first corner, it was tight with Dom, and then Cascades, I thought, shall I, shan't I? But I knew Dom had the 20 seconds penalty, so I could stick with him. I'll get him in the pit stop anyway.
It was a great race. I benefited from not having any success penalties, which was always nice. And then luckily when I came out, I had a bit of space behind me, so I could throttle back and not take risks. But really good fun. A bit hot.
Really pleased with it. It's the first podium in the Radical Challenge, so I'm very pleased with it.
There you go, the top three celebrating on the podium here at Oulton Park. Very happy indeed. There's 2 more races coming up to look out for.